Jason Shanks is the president of the National Eucharistic Congress, and he joins us now to talk about these historic pilgrimages. Jason, welcome. You've been with the Congress team from the beginning, and you were present for the kickoff at the Junipero Serra route in San Francisco. What reactions are you hearing from these routes?
I think it's overwhelming. I think lives are being changed. We talk about this as our Emmaus moment as a nation. And I think you're seeing deep encounters with our Lord Jesus Christ in the Eucharist and this public witness to our faith that's unitive, that is bringing people together. And I must tell you, I was walking across the bridge with my daughter in San Francisco, and I was overwhelmed with emotion. I thought maybe this is revival. Revival is here. And we're hearing these stories, as your reporting has shown, of just an overwhelming amount of support and participation that I frankly think we as church in the United States have been hungry for, not only to greet Jesus as he comes into our communities and our areas, but we've been hungry to do some big things as church and make history. And everybody's been a part of that. This truly is our national Emmaus moment.
Absolutely, and it does feel typically American to kind of do that really big superhero thing. One event that has gone viral is the blessing of the Statue of Liberty by Cardinal Dolan. Our photographer Jeff Bruno was there. Jason, a lot of these things feel like audibles. They feel like things that were on a wish list that at the last minute Providence is putting together. Is that true of many of the different parts of these routes?
Yeah, I would say there is a part of that, right? And that's what makes this sort of exciting and spontaneous. There's a lot of bit of planning that's gone into this, right? So there's different events that people can find out and be a part of, but there's also things that spring up and happen. And I think the beauty of the process of this national movement is what I would look at as the synodal way that we've been talking about, right? This isn't two ideas of what revival looks like in our church. This is one revival. And so you have a national vision, a national initiative that sometimes takes on a life of its own as it gets into local dioceses, local parishes, local communities. It's enculturated. And so I think the beauty of the Statue of Liberty, I think it's amazing to see Cardinal Dolan out there on choppy waters, yeah. God bless him, and to see that moment happen. And we're seeing those pop up all over the place around the country, both planned and unplanned. And we're just trying to follow the lead of the Holy Spirit and roll with it.
Well, we certainly felt that in Brownsville when one of the pilgrims felt motivated to go and pray at the border, and they made that happen. And it was a beautiful, very personal and intimate moment for the perpetual pilgrims to bring Jesus Christ present in the Eucharist to that place that has so much pain and so much division. Now, let's talk about where everyone is right now. I know that Archbishop Nelson was thrilled that the pilgrims on the Seton route arrived in Philly last night. The Juan Diego pilgrims, they're in Houston. And on the Serra route, they're on their way to Salt Lake City. Marian pilgrims, I think, are in Rochester, Minnesota. What are you hearing? Are they tired? What's going on?
Yeah, I think they are a little tired, right? And I think part of that is the level of participation has been so great, and they feel a personal responsibility to minister to those that join in these events. I think you can imagine a pilgrimage is going to be a little bit tiring, right? It's a walk. It's in these cases, drive, sometimes on a boat. But it's tiring. It's meant to be tiring. And we talked about that and prepared them even beforehand of how to use that weariness to draw closer to our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. The Eucharistic heart of our Lord has a self-emptying nature to it. And that's what you're doing on pilgrimage. It's meant for these perpetual pilgrims to have their very lives transformed. And some of that is on the being tired. So we're working hard on our end to make sure they get some respite and some retreats. But it's a positive thing, I think, by and large, that participation and attendance has been so strong that they're tired. Other than that, though, they're doing great. I would say that a lot of the safety concerns and maybe concerns of protest and things of that nature have not materialized as of yet. And we're monitoring that on a daily and weekly basis. And I feel like our pilgrims are in good spirits, and we continue to try to check in on them and make sure that they're they're cared for as they go across the country.
Well, praise God that they're safe, and they do seem like church superheroes, these young people who have devoted these 2 months of their lives to carry the Eucharist perpetually. It's just beautiful. Well, Jason, you talked a little bit about our coverage and some of those small moments, those special moments that we've been able to bring to our audience at home that can't be on pilgrimage all over the country. What are we not seeing? What's not in the pictures? What's not in the videos?
Yeah, the thing that I want to emphasize for people is sometimes in our pictures and video broadcast, you're seeing the bigger things, the Statue of Liberties, the crossing the Golden Gate Bridge, going to the border. But there's a lot of things that are planned and unplanned within these routes where these pilgrims are going into retirement homes. They're going in and stopping at hospitals. I think there's been pictures of them going to a full prison, right, and blessing the prisoners inside. I think there's a lot of those moments that we're probably not yet seeing. I remember I got a video of a beautiful procession happening in a retirement home, and everybody was processing in wheelchairs, and the nurses were pushing the folks. So there is this sense of, as Pope Francis talks about, going to the peripheries and accompanying individuals, that part of this pilgrimage is them taking Jesus to the peripheries and then making sure that we're going to the places that maybe aren't going to be recorded, and you're not seeing that, and it's beautiful to see. And I know it's not only touching the people's lives that Jesus through the pilgrims and through this pilgrimage are coming, but it's touching our pilgrims in a bold way.
It's transforming lives. Well, Jason, these pilgrimages are all going to culminate in Indianapolis in just 7 weeks. I'm super pumped. Can you give us a preview of what we can expect?
Yeah, and I know you're going to be there emceeing it, so we're excited to have you and our EWTN partner as a sponsor. Things are coming together really well. There's still tickets available, but I can tell you, especially on the weekend, we're going to fill that stadium. And I think that this is all building to a crescendo as people walk across the country, as we have this Emmaus moment, to all gather together, to huddle together so that we can be sent out after we huddle on mission. Great speakers, but a lot of fellowship, a lot of prayers and mass, and of course adoration. I would really encourage everybody to, if you can't make it for 5 days, try to come even for a day and be a part of it. We will do a big procession through Indianapolis on Saturday afternoon. So we will continue to live out this mode of pilgrimage together as we're sent forth from Indy. It's going to be epic and historic, and I would really encourage people to check it out if you don't have your ticket yet.
Absolutely. I encourage them also. Join us for that final Mass. That Mass is going to be everything. That great send-off moment for our continuation of this revival in the church. Thank you so much, Jason.
You're welcome.
EWTN and our other news agencies, including the Catholic News Agency and the National Catholic Register, are providing in-depth coverage of these processions and those small moments. Be sure to check us out online and on the air.